Marillion return with an album whose title could refer to the last hour that a child is permitted to play outside, the fight against time in respect of climate change, or the closing minutes of a person's life. You decide. It's just a damn good album. Stick around to the end to find out why I shed a tear.
Just play the damned record.
Whilst Marillion has become somewhat of a social mouthpiece for Steve Hogarth's views on the world, with this 20th album, An Hour Before It's Dark, is perfectly justified in the pandemic-affected world where the creation of this work started back early in 2020. As the world stood still for us all, musically creative minds have adorned us with a plethora of pandemic-linked pieces of work. This undoubtedly rates amongst the highest of them all. As artists has lived through these devastating times, never more have they been able to relate to the subject matter that has kept us mere mortals in a communication flow that prevented us from losing our minds, and on this occasion we thank Steve and the band. Strangely, critics have described this as an upbeat Marillion creation, often a curious explanation written about the group, and even more strangely its release coincides with a new era of hope and optimism that we are at last seeing the back of such dreadful times. Let's look at the tracks. We open with Be Hard on Yourself. The album opens with what in normal circumstances would have been a nailed on final track. More on that later. This three-part piece has formed part of recent gigs done by the band, so it's not new to some of us. There's no beating around the bush, we get straight into tackling the issues. It's 9 minutes of pure joy that sets us out on an immediate plea for action against the evils of consumerism. Next up is Reprogram the Gene. And this second track is another three-part suite that indicates that the pandemic should be a wake-up call to us all. It is a wake-up call to the world to review and tackle some of the other outstanding issues that the world is facing that have been left to rot in recent history. The very opening line of this track looks immediately at genderisation with the lines, I don't want to be a boy, I don't want to be a girl, I want to be happy, I want to be clever. The track is driven along by exemplary bass from Steve Rotheray and mesmerising drums from Ian Mosley. The next track is just a short interlude, it's a quick instrumental segue between the tracks. Murder Machine next up, and this track is the only one on the album that could possibly resemble a contender for a single release and does have a promotional video already available to support it. This one again takes no prisoners and tackles the pandemic head on in pulling no punches. The message is clear. We humans are the killers as we spread the infection inadvertently. It's as highly an emotive track as I've heard in years, as the line tells us. I put my arms around her and killed her with my love. Hogarth excels on the vocals and Rotheray's guitars are sublime. This is Marillion's 20th studio album and the 16th with Steve Hogarth on lead vocals. Here's the question of the day for you. Is this the best ever Marillion album the guys have produced, either with or without Hogarth on vocals? Leave your comments below and let me know the reasons for your choices. I look forward to reading and responding to your thoughts. Next up is The Crow and the Nightingale, and this is Steve Hogarth's tribute to Leonard Cohen. The track flows beautifully and displays a softer, caring side from the band. There are symbols of beauty and death respectively, light and dark, danger and hope in this simply compelling track. The reflective message from The Crow and the Nightingale track carries on in this next song called Sierra Leone, where the excellent storytelling continues about this desperately poor country where child labour is looked at from a symbolic point of view. This is a land where child workers are digging through the soil to find diamonds, but the country then faces the dilemma that this being a precious resource has been manipulated for monetary gain. The tension from the song builds throughout to a very high peak at the point where Hogarth's vocals again are capitulated to crescendo, holding your attention right to the end. So to the final masterpiece. This is the concluding track that brings all the separate pieces of the album thus far into one glorious finale. Hogarth sings of hospital patients being kept alive solely from an array of what he calls maintenance drugs, whilst also asking the question, how much time have they got left? It plumbs the depths of despair until rising to a promise of a fresh optimism in a beautiful tear-producing finale. The band unashamedly sing the praise of the NHS staff and all care workers who risk their lives in this pandemic, singing, "Angels in the world are not in the walls of the churches. The heroes of the earth work while we're sleeping." And then, crucially, the band's finest piece of work ever ends with the lines, "An angel here on earth came down to carry me home. She wrapped her arms around me." I defy anyone to listen to this end of a masterpiece without a tear in the eye. It certainly has affected me now on multiple listens. What a wonderful end to a wonderful modern classic of an album. So, there you have it. Marillion at their best, and arguably their best album of the 20 to date. The band members should be enormously proud of this creation as it embraces young and old, male and female, right from the get-go. As we emerge hopefully on the other side of the pandemic, it offers hope for the future, just as we have hope that the worst may now be over. The album scores 9.5 out of 10. I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, I would be honoured if you could press the subscribe button and the notification bell, as it makes all the difference to the channel and means that you will get an alert each time a new video is released. If you'd like to watch another album review, then please click on the link just here. It will take you to another group that has enjoyed massive success on their comeback album. Thanks for watching, and see you all soon.